heart reflected in his green irises, tenderly waiting for her to finish what she had to say. This look was familiar, she had seen it a million times, and yet there was a signal here that was finally reaching her receivers. All this time looking in on herself had made her blind to it. A constant battery of proclamations that stated she was the only one feeling this way had robbed her of this reciprocation. Her breath escaped her mouth as a tiny cloud in the chilly autumn air, and the breeze swept through, stronger now, as the sky grumbled gently somewhere far from the city. Ochako couldn't help but feel warm, though, and she smiled. How long had she missed this? When it was clear the words were stuck in her throat, Izuku offered his own perspective, his cheeks dusted pink under his freckles. The sentiment of longing between them was now easily communicable in looks and the tiniest touches as their hands brushed by each other again, the gravitational pull becoming stronger and pulling them close. Still, the words themselves were new, and a small giggle left Ochako's throat as the shock passed and excitement replaced it. Izuku spoke softly, free to speak confidently as there would be no rejections, and yet still shy to elaborate the feeling all the same. I missed you, too, more than anyone else. It's kind of the reason I'm here. She could feel him tremble, his timidness with her becoming more obvious. Their hands had come together again as they hung from their knees, closer this time, and Ochako tested the heavy atmosphere by slipping her fingers in between his. He responded bashfully and loosened, allowing her to take his hand. Was he just as scared as she was? Did he also think about their time together the same way she did? These were things she'd never considered before, but now with a cleared head and whole in spirit, she could see it so clearly. He loved her. My work gives me a lot of freedom. There are always a number of cases to choose from. I chose to come here. I knew you were here. And I was really, well, I was hoping. Ochako giggled and cut him off for his own health, that we could go to lunch. Izuku cracked a grin, his intentions now clear. Hey, yeah, at least once, while I was here. He quieted as they came closer, their hands now fully entwined, the space between them more intimate. There was an unsaid line in what he said, something that felt freeing and more confident than he was letting on. The wish for this moment was clear. This chance was something he had actively tried to create, and just like Ochako, he was going to take the opportunity at this last second. There wasn't any other choice, neither of them wanted to forever hold their peace. She had just beaten him to it and she leaned into him with a knowing hum, her forehead resting against his. While you were here, yeah, that's what I was. Ochako mumbled, leaving the unfinished, thinking, in the air for him to interpret. But there was something she didn't want him to merely assume, even if he was sure of it now. I couldn't let you go, not without telling you. I love you. Perhaps back in school, that would have been strong, but here, as the sun completely left them over the horizon and autumn's cool breeze tried to break the heat building between them, it felt right. It felt accurate, and Ochako was learning to be open, even if it was frank. There was no greater truth in this moment. Izuku didn't seem to know how to react, although the confession made his cheeks as red as hers and caught his breath in his throat. She knew he felt the same way. That wasn't what was bothering her as she backed away out of their intimate sphere and pulled him along as he tried to maintain it. Love, unfortunately, was also demanding, not for his feelings, which were freely given, but for his time, for which he had none. Before he could collect himself and respond, Ochako made it clear she wasn't finished. But, I don't want to be selfish, she started, and it was clear on Izuku's face that he had no idea how that could be possible. I know you have a big job to do and that you can't stay. So many people rely on you and I'm so proud of you, Deku. Seeing you so successful and in your element. I couldn't be happier. I never wanted to be something that held you back. But, I want to be fully honest with you, a part of me really doesn't want you to leave, either. He quickly replied, a shy smirk stretching across his face, the sentiment mutual. I don't want to go, either. I know they're expecting me tomorrow, but I really could stay. It was clear he was trying to avoid his own mistakes. They both knew time apart would eventually mean radio silence. Such was the life of a hero. But that was just it. Ochako shook her head. No, you should go, your Deku, and there's a case that needs solving and a villain who needs his butt kicked somewhere. And when you're done, you can always come back here, because, as Uravati, this is where I will be. She sighed, thinking of the possibilities and all of the things she had come to accept. There was no telling what lay ahead, the future was a mystery. 2 years ago, that had frightened her into keeping her feelings to herself. She had a preconceived notion that hero work was too full to allow love in, and perhaps that really was true. Even as her heart fluttered in euphoria, she was still acutely aware how fleeting this still was. In just a few hours, he'd be leaving the city and there was no date set in stone to mark his return. It very well could be another year or more before they could be this close again, before she could feel his fingertips against her cheek as they were now. His eyes reflected this as she was sure he knew it, too. Being a hero is hard, she said softly, cuddling up to his hand as his thumb stroked her cheek in an attempt to comfort her. But, maybe, we can still make this work. It will be tough, but... She cursed the circumstances, but for once didn't damn her feelings. This was worth it. This was worth whatever work needed to be put into it, whatever sacrifices had to be made, just as nurturing Uravati had been. She could live with this. She could survive without this for as long as it took for him to return. Ochako was stronger than she thought. I'm not worried about it, she said confidently as she leaned into him, their foreheads touching. If it doesn't work, then at least, we didn't miss out on each other. You're right, he conceded. There was silence thereafter, the whole world seemingly disappearing and Ochako's thoughts faded as her mind focused on the limited space between them. Being this close was familiar and fostered familiar feelings in her that she thought only existed in a dream draped in black curtain the eyes couldn't see through, but the heart felt fully. She closed her eyes, approaching closer as if coaxing him to bridge the gap first. Their breaths became quicker, deeper, as his hand left her cheek to make room for her to hold him around the neck and coming to rest on her thigh, just above her knee. She could feel him smile as their lips brushed against each other, the intimate touch sending a blaze through her body like she had never experienced before. As soft as her confession minutes ago, she offered him a kiss, pressing her lips against his, gentle and shy. The answer back was another kiss, a little harder, more passionate, now that he was ready, and it flushed every other sensation out of her reality. For a split second, there was nothing, but not emptiness. Time simply stopped, the world ceased to exist, and all that was left was this moment. With him. A feeling of belonging overtook her as the backdraft ignited. A desperate need for more arose as they parted and she kept him close, threading the fingers of one hand into his fluffy hair, the other arm hugged around his neck still, bringing him in again to continue. Each kiss was gentle, as if both sides held back the weight of 5 years' worth of lost time. Trying to keep herself under some form of control, Ochako stayed planted in her seat, but her suggestive thoughts ran wild, a typical chaser to his image. His hand crept up her leg, and even though she wasn't sure if he realized it or not, it still drove her mad all the same. His other hand held onto her corresponding arm, as if desperately trying not to wonder. She wished it did. A flurry of raw emotion swept over her with each parting. The exhilarating feeling weighed down like a heavy pressure, but she remained floating 10,000 meters in the air. Descriptive thoughts exclaimed to her memory and her to call back, a certainty that there was a place high above the planet where a moment only they could share occurred, and it was filled with beauty and a shared warmth despite all of the hardship below, just like this. Its pleasantly somber feel radiated across her skin, and took cognizance of the absent sensation of his body against hers. She shook that want away. This would have to be all, for now. She was already demanding so much that he had to angle his head down to catch his breath. Ochako had offered so much it had left him struggling against his bodily needs, her lips having been more desired than oxygen. Saying goodbye tonight would be the most difficult thing imaginable. Their eyes met, both glazed over with a suggestion neither was asking out loud, but could be felt in the electricity where fingertips lovingly stroked skin. The real world tried to enter this dream as the rain finally arrived, soaking the streets, and coming down in a soft shower. It dripped from the overhang as the sun finally dropped below the horizon, the only light now from the single porch sconce and the scattered fairy lights of the city below. The sky grumbled again, the lightning not yet penetrating through the clouds. She offered another goodbye to him as he breathed heavily, her eyes closing and lips brushing sweet, delicate kisses onto his open mouth, then across his cheek and down his neck, startling a deep, primal purr from him she'd never imagined. He'd successfully filled her senses again and left her feeling so comfortable and yet so positively bothered in a wondrous contradiction. Tomorrow was too soon to leave this as it was, the dread of returning to life before this moment was hard to imagine. But it wouldn't be the same. It couldn't ever be the same again, and Ochako was happy for it, feeling like her life was now so full. And not a thing was missing. End. Where stories live. Discover now.